It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be covering Zulip. Now, I covered Zulip a long time ago when I first started the channel. This is a really powerful open source chat communication channel platform. It is absolutely amazing. It has grown leaps and bounds in the years since I've covered it last. Now, I was asked a while back, months back, by the team to cover this, and I got on with their product manager, who is amazing. She showed me all the features and all the really cool things you can do, and really it kind of speaks for itself once you get it set up. So I've been working on getting it set up and going through those processes. I reached out to their community at one point because I was having some trouble getting something to work, and they explained exactly what I was doing wrong. And not only that, they went in and fixed their instructions based on my questions to make it more clear what we were supposed to do. So I really love that about it, that there's that kind of immediate feedback, and they use their own system for their support channels, which was also absolutely amazing to get to use that as I was trying to get it set up. Now, there's a lot of reasons why I want to cover this. I've covered Rocket Chat. I've covered Matrix. I covered Mattermost a long time ago also, but those all have different ideas behind them, in my opinion. One of the things that I really like about Zulip is that it's really meant for teams and organizations and organizing things into distributed teams even. And this brings up a really deep, dear thing to me, because I have a teenage daughter who is in high school here in the US, which is 9th through 12th grade for the rest of the world. I know like 10th, 11th, 12th, or 11th, 12th sometimes is called college. Things are pre-college, that kind of stuff too, but she's in the 9th grade. And one of the things that I've noticed since she's been going to school is that every year her teachers tell her, you need to download this app, or you need to download that app, or you need to download this app to communicate, or whatever they're going to use. And this year it was her coaches who wanted her to download WhatsApp. This infuriates me to no end, because I believe that my taxes that are going towards supporting the school system here that my daughter attends should be utilized to provide a communication platform that the school has control of. I think there's a lot of fits besides school systems for Zulip. If you've stuck with me this far, we're about to get into the Zulip experience, and the install is very quick, so I'm going to go through that first, and then we'll go through the setup experience and kind of what you see at first. It's really a really cool system. I think you're going to really like it. So let's get into it right after this. I just want to say thank you so much to all my patrons over at Patreon. It truly means the world to me that you want to support my content and my productivity every month on this channel. It means the world. It has kept me going. It's just one of those things that makes me just feel so good to know that I've got that support out there, that you guys enjoy the content. It's just such a great way to tell me that you enjoy it, so thank you. If you've done a buy me a beer, buy me a coffee as a one-off on PayPal, man, I truly appreciate it. You don't understand how much I appreciate that. It just means the world that you want to do that you want to give me a little something to say thank you. Truly appreciate it. If you've subscribed on YouTube, it helps the channel grow, so thank you. It helps other people find this channel and find out about amazing open source solutions. If you haven't done so, go down and subscribe, click on that thumbs up, and click on the little bell icon so you get notifications about amazing open source software every week when I do new videos. Now let's get into installing Zulip. Alright, I want to show you what I'm setting up to run Zulip on. So I've got servers here at my house. I've got little NAS systems that I run, and each of those NAS systems runs Ubuntu 2404, and it also runs Incus, which is a containerization system, just tiny little virtual machines that you can create, which I really love. So I'm going to create an Incus container, a little virtual machine called Zulip. I'll just give it a description of Zulip Chat. It's a container. I also have the option of virtual machine if I want that, but I'm just going to do it as a container because it's a little bit smaller. Just slightly different restrictions set around it, and it's got a little bit of expandability on its own, which I like. This is going to be a Ubuntu 2404, and this is the no Docker version that I've created. So I've got a Ubuntu 2404 system where I already created a non-root user and did a bunch of the stuff that I would want to do and kind of have all the time, so I just created it from that image. So just understand, Zulip is meant to run on Debian 12 or 13 or Ubuntu 2204 or 2404 as of the recording of the date of this video, which is August 20th, 2025. 19, you can tell how old I am. 2025, sorry. So if you're getting to this a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, go check out their documentation, see what versions of operating systems they're supporting at that point. It'll just help you out a lot in saving yourself some time and effort by not using an incorrect distro or operating system. Here I've just set up my bridge profile, which just creates a network bridge from the container to the operating system on top of it, the host system, so I can get this on my network and access it from wherever. And then I just told it to auto start automatically whenever I start up my server. This little container will start as well. So I'm just going to go down here and create that container. It doesn't take any time. It's a Z, so it's going to pop up here at the bottom. I'm just going to check the box and I'm going to go start that up. So I'm just starting up the virtual machine. It only takes maybe 30 seconds or so, and it's going to grab an IP address from my network. So I'll get that IP address here in just a minute. And once I've got that, I can SSH into it with my terminal. So we're going to just give it a few seconds here to grab that IP address. I'll go ahead and open the terminal while we're waiting, and I'll full screen this, and I'll make the font a little bit bigger for you guys. And then we'll go right back over here, and I've got that IP address, which is my 192.168.10.95. Now yours will likely be different for wherever you're setting this up, so don't just go by this. Just know that that's the one I'm going to log into. So I'm going to do SSH, and I'm going to use my Brian user that I've already set up on that machine. That's a non-root user with sudo privileges. .95, and it's going to ask me if I want to connect. Put in my super user password here, and I am connected to that machine. Now the first thing I always like to do whenever I set up a new server is I do sudo apt update, 2 ampersands, sudo apt upgrade, and then space -y. And that just says, hey, go grab the packages, update all the package listings, and then run those updates that it needs. So actually update the operating system. So this just takes a couple of minutes, even when it's pretty far behind, like this one probably is at this point. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes, just depending on your internet speed and the power of the machine that you're updating. But you can see it's already starting to run the install, and it's running across. So we'll just give it a little time to finish that up. While the installation is finishing, I do want to say that on whatever system you set up, you're going to need curl, C-U-R-L, and you're going to need a text editor. I use the Nano editor. You're free to use whatever text editor you want, but you will need those two things just to make sure that you're able to get everything done. It's better if you have a little familiarity with the command line, but don't worry, I'm going to walk you through the commands that we're going to use. I'll try to explain what they're doing as we go along, and I'll also have very detailed show notes that you can get down in the description of the video. You can click there, go to the link on the show notes. I'll have very detailed description and tutorial and instructions on how to do everything there as well. If you know how to do a lot of the stuff I'm doing here in the beginning, you feel free to skip ahead in the timeline. If you're familiar with how to install this thing, feel free to jump ahead to the overview. It's really up to you kind of how you watch the video, but just wanted to let you know that you do have those options. Now that this is installed, I'm just going to quickly reboot the system. So I'm just going to do sudo reboot, and that's just going to reboot that little virtual machine, and then I'll SSH right back into it. It only takes about 20 seconds for it to reboot. It doesn't take very long at all. So we can go ahead and just hit the up arrow here, and we'll get back to that command that we had before. In fact, I'll clear that out so you can see it at the top of the screen. And I'm just going to hit enter, and it prompts me for the password again. So it's already rebooted. We're already back in. Now we've got everything already set that we need at this point. The script that they have us run is going to do most of the work. Now, a couple of things that we're going to want. Ideally, you want to run Zulip with a fully qualified domain name. That means like zulip.chat or chat.migratedomain.com. That's a fully qualified domain name. That's basically how somebody would get to your Zulip installation and start chatting with you. I'm going to set up zulip.routemehome.org. I own the domain routemehome.org, and I have a DNS record that points it to my reverse proxy. So it goes from, I type in zulip.routemehome.org. That takes me to DNS. DNS is Domain Name Service, and it does a lookup. And it says, what's the IP address of zulip.routemehome.org? Take me to that server. So then it goes to my reverse proxy server, which then says, oh, you want to go to zulip.routemehome.org. Let me see if I have an entry for zulip.routemehome.org. And if it does, it will send you along to the server that I'm running inside my home with, and we'll call this the app server, that's running Zulip. And then you'll get back and you'll see the web page. And this all just kind of happens in the background. If the reverse proxy does not have an entry for Zulip, it's just going to give you like a 404 or can't find that page kind of error. And it's really, you need to have that set up correctly, or you're going to give errors to your users trying to reach your stuff. But I just want you to understand. So you need to have a domain name get it set up your DNS, and I have tutorials on all these things, and I cover this stuff in a lot of my videos, but just want you to know you should have those things set up in order to get this going. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to create a temporary directory. We're going to do CD and then $. We're going to open up our parentheses here, and we're just going to do mktemp space -d and then close our parentheses. So it should look just like this, and it's just saying make a temporary directory inside of /temp is where it's going to do that, and then move into that directory. So this is all kind of one thing with a few commands there. So we do that, and you see now I'm inside of /temp, and I'm inside of that temporary directory it just created. Now the next thing we need to do is we're going to go and use curl to pull down the latest version of Zulip. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it in here. And this command just says use curl. Go out to download.zulip.com on the server. We want to get the server version. And it says Zulip server latest, so it's going to pull down whatever the latest available server version is. It's going to pull that down in a tar file or a gzip file. It's an archive. It's a zipped up archive. So we're just going to grab that. It's going to go get that thing. It's going to pull it down, and it's there. So now if I do an ls, you can see there's that file we just told it to go grab, but it's still zipped up. So we need to unzip that file. So we're going to use the tar command here. And this just says use tar, which is the tool to untar a file, and it says extract it, and then we're going to extract this file that we just downloaded. So all that says is use tar to extract that zip file so I can get inside of it. It does that. Now if we do an ls, we can see here's a folder right here that says Zulip server 11. Now you can look inside there, look at all the great files and folders that are inside of it, but you don't need to do that. From this folder, from this directory we're in, temp/temp dot, and you'll have a slightly different number here, don't sweat that, but just know that from inside of this little temp folder, we need to run the actual install command, but first we need to become the sudo user or the super user. So we're going to do sudo-s, like sudo space -s, put in our super user password, and now you'll see instead of Brian, like it said here, it now says root. So I've just temporarily becoming the root user so I can run this installer. So I'm going to grab this long command here. I'm going to paste it in and I'll go through what this says. So this says run inside of the Zulip folder that we just extracted, and it just says zulip-server-star because it allows them to keep the same script and change this version number as they go along. So it's just saying go inside of that folder, then into the scripts folder, into the setup folder, and run the install command. The next thing we're going to give it is some flags. So the push notifications flag says I do want my server to support push notifications, so when I'm using the mobile app with my users, they can get push notifications. The next flag says I also agree to the terms of service. So this flag, agree to terms of service, is required if you use the push notification service. If you don't want push notifications, you don't have to have it. And if you don't do that, then you don't have to put this one. Okay, just know that. The next flag is host name. This is the one we talked about. So here I've just got a placeholder that says chat.migratedomain.com, and I've got that placeholder right in between two less than and a greater than. So I'm just going to erase that whole thing, and I'm going to put in what I want to call my server. So I'm going to call mine zulip.routemehome.org. I'm going to check my spelling, make sure I spelled it correctly. And then this next one is email. So the email address of your administrative user, whoever's going to be your admin user. So I'm just going to erase this placeholder email, and I'm going to put in my email, which is brian@fixitdelrio.com. Okay. And then this last one is self-signed cert. Now what this says is, when you create this server, I want you to give me a self-signed certificate. Now, if you've ever seen the page where it pops up on Chrome or on Firefox and it says, hey, you're trying to access an encrypted page, but the certificate isn't valid. Do you trust it? And you have to click yes, and then you have to click go. That's what self-signed certificates cause. These are not generally considered a good thing for a public server, but the reason we're going to do this is that we're going to use that reverse proxy to create that connection to zulip.routemehome.org so that it's all encrypted. You have to do it this way if you're going to do the reverse proxy. Now, if you're running this like on DigitalOcean that gets a public IP address, or on Racknerd that gets a public IP address, you can just leave this part off and then make sure your DNS just points zulip.rocknerdhome.org directly to the public IP address of that server. And then you can leave this off and it will do its thing. Now, there's some certbot flags and things like that where if you want to get like Let's Encrypt certificates, you should go set that up, and it may balk at you if you don't, so you should go check the documentation on that. But we're going to set this up with a reverse proxy. So this is everything you need. Run the install. I want push notifications. I agree to the terms of service. Here's my host name. Here's my admin's email address, and give me a self-signed certificate. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to hit enter. If I did everything correctly, it should just start running. This is, if you have the agree to terms of service already there, it should not prompt you for anything. It's just going to start running. Now, if you don't have the agree to terms of service, it might prompt you about terms. You should hit yes if it does. But this thing's just going to run. Now, this takes a little while. I can tell you right now, I've run this a couple times, and I think each time it took 10 minutes, a little bit longer. So be patient, because it's going to depend on your internet speed. It's going to depend on the system you're using. It's going to depend on a lot of things. Just let it run. As long as it doesn't stop with an error, let it run. At this point in the installation, it's been running this build for Psycop G2 for a minute or so now. Just be aware, this is probably the longest running part of it. So if it seems like it's stuck, it's not. It just takes a little while for it to get to this process. Like I said, if you don't get an error, if it doesn't come back with an exit code or something, you're good. Just let it keep running. Just give it time to do its thing. There, it finally moved on. So it just takes a minute to run that, and then it will continue. All right, when it completes, again, it takes quite a little bit of time. Be patient. You will get a URL, and it's a unique URL. It's a one-time URL that you have to use the first time you're going to log into the system. So we're not going to use it just yet unless you are somebody who set it up on DigitalOcean, like I said, and you have your DNS record set up. Then you can click on this and it should go right to the page you need, and you can get into the setup section, which I'll have next. It's not hard, but feel free to skip ahead to that. But if you're setting up the reverse proxy, we want to copy this somewhere else, and we'll use it here in just a little bit. In fact, don't do that like I did. Right click and hit copy, or you can use Control-Shift-C. Just don't try to use Control-C only. And you just want to save that in case, well, you're going to need it in just a little bit, so you don't want to lose it. But we have to do a few edits, and that could make your terminal run upwards, and it may be hard to find it again. That's the reason I say to save it for now. All right. The system is installed. The server is installed, and it should be running. If you didn't get any errors, it's running. We need to make a couple of changes, though, to set up this server so that we can actually use a reverse proxy, because Zulip requires an HTTPS connection in order to make sure everything is encrypted. But we need to set it up so that it won't require that just between the reverse proxy and the server. So on that same machine or over an encrypted network like I'm going to use is the way you want to set that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do nano/etc, let me spell that right, /etc/zulip/zulip.conf, just like this. And right here, we're just going to go down below the PostgreSQL version equals 17, and we're going to put in 2 lines, and it's going to be these 2 lines right here. So the application server is, you got to have that in square brackets, and then below that HTTP_only space equals space true. So we're telling it, allow HTTP only. I need this to work this way. We're going to do Control-O to save, and then Control-X to exit. Now we're going to run kind of a long command script here. And what happens is it creates a Zulip user and a home location for Zulip. So don't delete those things because it keeps these command scripts in that space. So I'm going to go here and we're going to run this command. And this command is in the home Zulip user under deployments, current scripts, Zulip project apply. So basically those changes we just made to the zulip.conf, we want it to apply those. We're going to hit enter. It's going to come up and tell you the things that it's changing. So if you want to see, the minus means it's taking that out and the plus means it's adding it. So it's taking out the 443 and it's adding the 80. Okay. And it's going to ask, do you want to do this? I'm going to say Y for yes. If you just hit enter, it's going to take the N for no. So don't just hit enter, make sure you type the Y. All right, it's done that. Now we're going to use the next command script to actually restart the server. And I'm just going to paste that in and put it in R for server. So again, it's going to go to home, Zulip deployments, current, and scripts, and it's going to do restart server. So we're just going to hit enter. Just be patient because it's going to stop those services and restart those services. It just takes a few seconds for it to get that done. Now while that's restarting the server, we'll go out to my Pangolin reverse proxy, which I have a video about Pangolin if you've never used it or never seen it. I'm going to go to my Route Me Home area, and I'm already on the site that I need. So I'm going to go here to my resources, and let me make sure I didn't keep the old one. Yeah, it's gone. Good. So we're going to create a new resource for Zulip, and I'm just going to call it Zulip because it makes it easy to find. I'm going to use my home ingress point. So this means from the outside server where I'm running my reverse proxy, it's going to use WireGuard, a VPN, to come into my network using this ingress point. Now I have a lot of different ingress points for a lot of different servers, so I can pick which place I'm trying to go to, but in this case it's the one for my home. I want it to use an HTTPS resource, and I want it to be a subdomain, and I called it zulip.routemehome.org. Now I have different domains that I own that I could choose, but in this case I'm using the Route Me Home domain. And I'm going to click on continue, and it's going to create that resource. Now I have to tell that resource where the endpoint is, which is the private IP that we got in the beginning where I SSH'd in, so that's 192.168.10.95. And Zulip runs on port 80. And I can say add server. Now I'm going to say save my change. It's going to do that, and you'll see it's saved right there. I'm then going to go to this authentication tab, because in Pangolin it says, hey, if you're not coming from a certain user, I'm going to make you try to log in with my Pangolin credentials. I don't want that because Zulip has its own login. So I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to hit save. And now we can go back, and our server should be restarted, and it is. Okay. Now, if I were to try to go to my Zulip server right now, it's not going to work, I don't think. We're going to do zulip.routemehome.org. It's going to come here, it's going to say, hey, you have an internal server error. And the reason it's giving me this server error is because I'm trying to go to it, and I haven't yet gone through the process of getting everything set up I need to set up. So I wanted to show you this. If you get in a hurry and you get excited, you're like, hey, I'm trying to get this thing, it's going to give you some trouble. There's a couple places you can look. If you do hit this error even after you do my steps, you should know these places. So you can go and do cat/var/log/zulip and then /errors.log, and you can see some errors in here that I have. And it's going to tell me like, hey, here's the proxy state header. So it's telling me that my proxy is not sending the right header. And here's one of the IP addresses that it sees me trying to proxy through. So I need to go add that, and I'll show you what we're going to do to add that here in just a minute. The other place is you can do cat/var/log/zulip/server.log. And here also it's going to give me some information about my proxy headers. Don't seem to be like they're set up right, and there's that IP address again. So it gave me a 500 because it's like, hey, you're trying to come in from the wrong thing. We don't understand where you're coming from, so this seems wonky. We're not going to let you into the site. I really like that they've got this set up, but it did make it a little bit tricky for me at first. I had to kind of figure out, that I needed to go check these logs to see some of this information. But we can fix this. So now we're going to go back and we're going to edit nano/etc/zulip/zulip.conf again. And we're going to go right below that entry we made a while ago. And we're going to add this little section. Let me get this. And I'm going to do Control copy and paste. And right here I've got just placeholder IP addresses again. So if we remember, that was 10.158 was the one it was giving me. The other IP address I want to put is the public IP address of my Pangolin server. Now for me to get that, it's very easy. I can just go into another terminal and I can do ping pangolin.routemehome.org, and it's going to give me that IP address. You need to get the public IP address of whatever server you're running your reverse proxy on. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-C to copy that and paste it right here. Now I'm going to save with Control-O. And all we did was say, hey, the load balancer or the proxy, whatever is sending the traffic forward whenever I make this request, it comes from these IPs. So what it is my Pangolin server, this is the public IP, And it uses a little server inside my network called Newt, and that little server has this private IP address. So when I'm making that request, in the headers, it's seeing these IP addresses and it's going, I don't know if I'm supposed to load when you come from there. It is, and I'm going to make it work that way. So we've got this set. I've saved it. One more time, Control O to save, Control X to exit. We need to rerun those commands that we ran earlier to restart and apply. So let's go find those. That's the restart server. Where'd my apply go? Lost my apply command. That's okay. I've got it right here where I can copy it and paste it in. So we're going to do home Zulip apply right here. So it's going to do the same thing. It's going to show me what it's changing in just a second. And it's going to ask me to confirm. So it's changing. Allow these two IP addresses. Okay. Now, don't worry about this. I'm destroying the server after we're done. All the stuff you're seeing, don't worry. Don't sweat it. It's fine. Okay. So now it's applied those changes. I have to restart the server. So I'm going to use that same command we used a while ago. And I'll just copy it from right here. Paste it in. And it's going to go through that same process of restarting the server. So it shuts down the processes real quick. Restarts all the processes just to take those changes for us. All right, the server is restarted. Everything is up. We're going to give it about 20 seconds just to make sure everything's like fully running, that kind of thing. And then we're going to go grab that IP address that it gave us way earlier, that special one-time IP. I'm just going to copy that guy. So we'll have it. We'll go back to the browser actually. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to refresh this first. It's going to tell me no organization found. You can already see it refresh on its own actually. So I can't do anything from here yet because I haven't run that first IP. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in here. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to say, okay, what organization name do you want? So I can say route me home. And the organization type, there's a whole bunch here. Kind of pick the one that makes sense. If it's a community for you, if it's a political group, whatever. They're just curious. I'm going to put personal. English is my language, but they have a lot of languages, okay? So feel free to pick the one that fits your organization and your use case best. Use the zulip.routmehome.org. I would leave this checked. Don't uncheck this. Now, if you set up something different for some reason, it should use a different URL. You can uncheck this and put it in, but I don't recommend that. And then I'm going to put in my email address for my admin user here. I'm going to create the organization, and then it's going to come back and ask me for my name and a password. So Brian and a password that's strong. And then how did I learn about it? Personal recommendation. Okay, so I'm going to say sign in. And we are here. Now, this comes up with a lot of really helpful little things when you first log in. I really recommend that you watch this little video. It is not long. It takes about, I don't know, it shows right here. It's 1 minute and 57 seconds. And they cover a lot of what you can do inside of Zulip very quickly in that video. Right here, you'll see kind of the main Zulip interface, which is very clean, very neat. And up here it asks, hey, do you want to, let's see. Yeah, do you want to see configuration instructions? So we'll go through that in just a minute. I'm just going to enlarge it a little bit for you guys that are on mobile devices. In the center here, I've got this kind of area where I can see what's going on and I can replay that video that popped up. But over here on the left, I've got this thing that says inbox. You can see I've got 12 things. So Zulip is kind of like mail, but kind of like not mail. It's really more like chat, but it gives you this inbox, which is really great. And it says, hey, welcome to your inbox. The first time you do it, you can see what it says. So it's like use the back button in your browser or the desktop app. Click the inbox in the left sidebar. Use escape to go to your home view. So I've read this. I'm going to use escape. Okay. Maybe I'm in the home view. So I'm in the inbox. We have general. So you can see right here, there's two things under general. So if I click on general, it collapses it. And if I click on the greeting down here, I can see there's a couple of things. The greetings topic is a great place to say hi to all your friends. Okay. Then there's the welcome bot. It says, click on this message to start a new message in the same conversation. So if you look down here, one of the things that I should have said As you can see where you are, you're in general and greetings. Now it says click on this message, so when I click, you can see that it's going to let me say something. So I can say, hey, I'm new, nice to be here. Okay, and then I can click on the button, and there it is. So I'm in this conversation and I'm actually typing. So this gets hidden out of the way so you can see things, but you know, if you click in the conversation area, it'll open up for you. Really great. I should have thought about that. On your sandbox, you've got a few places where you can test things, which I really like. This is kind of cool. So it's like label your conversation with a topic, think about finishing the sentence, and then it says try starting a new conversation in this channel. So it says to kick off a new conversation, pick a channel in the left sidebar and click on the plus button. So if I click on a channel over here, if I go to general, let's see, it says sandbox. Let's just click on plus. So we're going to do that just to walk through it. And the first thing it says is enter a topic. This is a test topic. And then I can click here and start typing. And I can send. So there we go. We get this is a test topic and hi, and you can see these topics go under these channels over here, and you can have these different topics. So I really like this because it gives you kind of a folder structure and a subfolder structure of things that you can do over here. I think it's really cool. Makes it easy to kind of follow what's going on. And I would guess that you can probably collapse this at some point just to make it easier to see things. I haven't gotten that far. But if we go back to our inbox, so we have the sandbox. It says use this topic, try out Zulip's messaging features. So want to see some examples, and we can click, and it says you can print code blocks, you can do bulleted lists, you can do all kinds of things. So you've got some handy little things down here that can let you do some really cool text editing and stuff like that with your messages, just to make it a little bit more readable, legible. And my channel that I run over on Matrix, I get a lot of people who are trying to give me code snippets of their Docker Compose, things like that to look at, and they don't realize that they should surround it to make it readable. So sometimes that can be a little bit of a problem, and this just gives you a really nice overview to let you know you can do that. So we go back to our inbox, we've got this last one, which is welcome to Zulip. So we can see that it's organized to help you get communications done. I like that. And then finally, moving messages. So you can move messages, which is kind of cool. So it says right here, it's easy to move messages, rename and split topics, or even move a topic to a different channel. In fact, when I went to their site to ask for help, I put it in the issues category and somebody moved it to another category that was the correct one for what I was asking for, which was awesome. So yeah, just know that you've got all these really cool things, but here you can click on the little three dots, you get move topic, you can say mark as resolved if somebody's asking a question, you can delete the topic, there's all kinds of really cool controls that you can do with these things, and I just think it's such a really cool system. So I wanted to walk you through some of the basics of it, but essentially this is set up, it's ready, we're good to go. And over here you can see this is the channel, and here I am as a user, and then I can say invite people to organization. All kinds of cool stuff. Now they have a lot of other things. Oh, let's go here. So this gives you just kind of a link to everything on how to set stuff up, but it says if you want to set up outgoing email, here's how you configure that. So again, you're going to go to etsy/zulip/settings.py. You're going to go in there and set up your SMTP server. So you can set up email so that you get information about Zulip being set up on your system. Pretty cool. And I think there's a lot of stuff in this documentation you should go through. They have really complete, full documentation. But get your system set up and running, and then you can come to the documentation to set up the extra things. This video is sponsored by me. That's right. Did you know that I wrote a novel? I did. And it's a science fiction novel. It follows a guy named Dave, who's a pretty normal guy with a normal job, who happens to fall into a little bit of a less normal job, but doesn't realize it. He goes on some incredible adventures. He has some really cool things that he has to get done. It's just a passion project. I think you're going to love it. It's an action. It's an adventure. It's just so much fun. I understand if you don't want to do Patreon or PayPal, but maybe you'd like to get something out of some money that you're donating back to me. So by buying a book, you're paying me back, and at the same time, you're getting something out of it. You can jump over to Amazon. I'll have links in the description. You can jump over and get the ebook, the paperback, or the hardcover. I'll have links for as many countries as I can get links for, so no matter where you are, you can get a copy of the book. It is English only. It has not been translated. I just do want to put that out there, but I hope you'll get it. I hope you'll enjoy it, and let me know that you enjoyed it as well. Now let's get back to the program. Once you're done with the configuration instructions link, you can just go there. And over here, you've got some settings. So if we go here, you can see there's channel settings, organization settings, group settings, personal settings, usage statistics, desktop and mobile apps, integrations, API documentation, and you can support them. And you can do plan management, which means like if you want to get on a plan, you can manage what plan you're on, which is great. And then of course, any kind of invite user stuff you can do from here as well. So you got a really nice full list of things you can do from the settings. If you go here to your icon, first of course, you can get to the things that says like set your status, go invisible, view your profile, view messages with yourself, view messages that you sent, and then you have settings for different color themes and things like that. So this is following my default color theme right now. I can switch it to the light mode, which I think it's doing reverse. Let's see. No, it says it's doing the right one. So I switched it to daytime. I'm sorry. Here's the moon. There's nighttime. So it's just following my system theme whenever you put it on the square right there. And here I can adjust the font size, which I really like. So if I go back to 100%. So right now I can change my font size to 20. I can just keep changing it. So I can go up, well, I went up to 20. I'd love to see this go a little bit bigger because then when I'm at 100%, it's not quite big enough for my eyes. It'd be nice if it could go just a little bigger. I know most people would probably be like, oh my gosh, I could read that from Mars, but you know, for me with low vision. But I can always zoom the browser. As you saw, it zooms right up, just like that. That's the default line spacing, so I can make a bigger line spacing slightly. If I want it to be a little bit more, I can make it a little bit, you know. So you got a little adjustment here, which I really like that. I think that's a nice feature. Again, I'd like to see a little bit more increase in volume on the size. If you click on that, it just puts it back to normal. And then I can, of course, zoom it right back up. All little things that I have many tools to overcome, so not a huge deal. All right, then you've got your general channels. You can get in here and just do some different things. So here it is. There's my general message. Here's the Zulip channel where you can read us a little bit of different stuff. But you can go through and edit these channels. So you've got the 3-dot menu here. And you can say mark all as read. Go to the channel feed, list of topics, copy a link to a channel. Your channel settings, pin the channel to the top, mute the channel. This is an important one. I work with people who use async chat all the time in different systems, and the ability to mute a channel in any chat system is a really important one. And it's not because you don't care about what's there, it's because the notifications can be very distracting. Some channels I just need to go and read a block later on after everybody's done kind of chatting through it and then throw in my 2 cents. Sometimes I want to get those notifications so I can really be involved in the conversation. It just depends on what the channel is and what it's about. But this is a really, really valuable feature. Unsubscribing from a channel also. Sometimes you get pulled into a channel, you're doing something, it's important, and then when you're done, the conversation doesn't really involve you. You can just unsubscribe. You don't have to stay in there anymore. Very, very valuable as well. And then you can change the channel color, which I think is pretty great so that you can kind of sort things out pretty quickly as to what's more important, what's less important, what's things that you want to see, you know, a little bit more quickly. So here you can turn on audio notifications, desktop notifications, no notifications, and then you've got, again, delete the topic inside of a channel. So you've got the channel and then you've got topics. I think, again, this is some really great controls that they've put here to make it where you can get things managed and keep it going. But in the case where I was talking about, for instance, my daughter and the school system, I think Zulip would be great because you're going to have permissions levels on these things as well. For the school system to own this and then to own the login system that they're going to use for it, they can very easily control who signs up for a site like this and who can log into it and use it. And then you've got, again, these channels. You can you can set these channels to either be grade specific or school specific or what you want, and then have topics in there that break those things down more. So maybe you do school and you have grade specific channels. Maybe you do school and you have class or teacher specific channels. Maybe you allow those teachers, maybe each of those teachers has their own channel and they can create the topics that they want so that their students can get to those topics and see those things. There's a lot of different ways that a tool like this could really be valuable and useful in such a setting, and I think this would just be such a great solution for what the school needs versus having my child go sign up for something like WhatsApp. That drives me crazy. I get that they're trying to go easy and keep things free and stuff like that, and the teachers, again, are not technically knowledgeable about what's going on with all these applications, but Really, I think Zulip is an incredible offering. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really loved getting to know about this project again. It's been so long since I looked at it the first time. I think it's just grown leaps and bounds since then, and it is really just such an amazing open source project. If you haven't checked it out, get out there and do that. If you really love it, go let them know that you love it. Tell them that. Say thank you for building this thing. And I want to say thank you for them building this thing and for the immediate help that I got on their chat channel. That was amazing. For the walkthrough that I got from their product manager, it was awesome. So really and truly, get out there and try this out. If it works for you, if you're using it for a business, if you're using this to sell to other people, make sure to include Zulip in that chain of revenue so that they can keep the project going and keep healthy. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along in the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.